The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is Max Bendich.
How are you, my darling son? How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm fine. Everything is good.
So you had a special birthday, right?
I'm 101 plus a month more, 2 more.
No, March
March
was last,
25th.
right, and today's what, April 15th, so it's less than a month.
But when was I born? 3/25/15.
Right.
What happened a few weeks ago? So
Oh, no, a year ago.
3/25/15.
No, 16.
No, sir. 3/25/15.
No, it's 2016. That was last year, was 15. Now it's
Yeah,
16.
I'm talking
so
about.
now you're 1 year old.
No, I'm talking about
Last year. Last year you turned 100, and this year. But if you look at just if you just look at the calendars without the first 2 digits, you're 1 year old.
That's what I wanted to tell you.
That's it.
So nothing changes.
That's it.
The numbers are here, but Al, a lot changed in our lives.
That's it.
And we are still together, Al.
Right.
And that's
I know it's interesting. So we could talk about. You wanted to talk about your new digs. Your apartment used to be where you live now. You used to live on the 2nd floor. Now you live on the 10th floor. One thing I like about it, like on your terrace, it's an unbelievable view. I mean, it's nicer to be, I think, in the upper apartments.
Remember, I lived there about 10 years in the 2nd floor. Why I never thought of, I jokingly say, you know how nice it is? We're nearer to heaven.
Right. But the good thing, I mean, it's nice up there. It really is. And we shoot one of our other shows, Scriptless. We shot a lot of episodes on the 2nd floor. Yeah. And I guess we're going to be shooting a different show starting Sunday on the 10th floor, which would be exciting. And it's a story about you called The Laundryman.
And we also have, I don't know the word for it. You go out in like a porch.
No, it's a terrace. That's what we're talking about.
I'm sorry.
And we'll be shooting that. Actually, one of our actors and I'm planning a scene with Noah, who's played your son several times. He played Sam in Scriptless and some other shows. He's playing your brother, your real life brother, Aaron, but I'm playing you and you're playing your father. So he and I'm going to be playing you, and I'm going to have a conversation with Noah, who's playing Aaron on the terrace. And it's supposed to be beautiful weather, so I really think that's going to be it's going to be a beautiful scene.
Take advantage of it.
That's it.
Because you can't write about it,
right?
But it is. It's there. It's ours. It's mine.
Right. So it's going to be basically the scenes. We're going to try to get a lot of your scenes done on Sunday, and you're playing your father, but your father was a different type of guy than you are. He was much more like a stalwart. He had like a stiff presence. He was always like and you're like more of like happy-go-lucky kind of guy. So I don't know. We'll play it any way you want to play it. But he was always much more like a staid person. He was always like that.
My mother, the same way. They must have been brought up that way.
Right.
And here they come to America, and greeted by looking around, and little by little from here to there.
Yeah, but I think even when I knew your dad, and he passed away when I was a young guy, but I just remember, I mean, he was they were both very loving, but he wasn't as talkative as you were.
No.
He was a very to himself person, and deaf, and very deaf. So.
But he had a good life for only not for only, I'm sorry. He had 3 boys.
Right.
And I jokingly say, again, I'll say it again. When I was born in 1915, and my mother must have said to him a little later, Lou, that's right. Look at Max, Maxilla. Look, how about another one?
Right.
I went with my mother all the time looking for bargains.
Right.
I said, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll get 2 for the price of 1.
So you got 2 for the price of 1. So right now, I have someone who I'm interested in playing Joe, but in this, Joe is your other brother. Aaron and Joe were twins, but for this, Joe didn't play much of a part when you got shot, because the movie's about you getting shot. The way this movie, which is was written by very close friend of mine, my closest friend in the world actually, Frank Sinclair. He wrote the script, but we're going to be doing the teaser, which is really like a short synopsis, like a few minutes, short. And we're going to try to get some funding. We're going to try to get some funding so we can get people to do, maybe get sound and things like that. But Aaron was there when you got shot. He was the first person to get to you after you got shot. And so he's going to be playing a prominent role. So one of the scenes is that we're going to be shooting as if your apartment is your parents' apartment. And the lady that lives across from you, what's her name, Virginia?
Virginia.
Virginia's going to be playing my real life, my grandmother. You're playing my grandfather, and I'm playing you. So, and it's fun. It's going to be fun. And the scenes we're going to show, I mean, we're filming on Sunday, are going to be more like family scenes. They're not going to be like, because the surprise scene is going to be you getting shot. Spoiler. But the issue is that, and it's really not just about you being shot. It's what happened before you got shot and what happened after. The shot thing is just like, it's like a door. Like everything happened on one side of the door before you got shot. Everything happened after you got shot. And that's really where the story is. But it's interesting.
And it's not a chopped story. It's a straight story.
Well, maybe for you it's a straight story, but I mean the other people, like for me, and I've talked about it. The day before you got shot, you were going to go do. You had to do. You had a route. You were a laundryman.
Yes,
you worked 6 days a week. I think Mom worked 7. But whatever it was, and then Mom also did. Mom made like 3 meals a day. She scrubbed the floors in the bathroom, the kitchen. She did everything. No one appreciated it because it was the 50s and 60s, but she worked like a dog. And you used to go to work every morning. You wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, go on the route. So the day before my graduation, you said, I got to go on the route. Or Mom told me that you weren't going to come to the graduation, and you came home. And I have an anger because I can get angry, and I told you that I hate you and drop dead. And I said that to you, and I said it loudly and with anger. And you never listen to the words, but I was so upset. I was furious. And then the next day, you said you went on your route and you get shot. And it's like, wow, the night before I told you to drop dead and you got shot, So, and that's part of the movie, but that's only just a part of it. But it's not really it's the shocking part of it, but that's all.
And
so not every day is the same.
I'm glad, because who wants it? Would you want every day to be the same?
Well, I don't know if I'd want any day to be a day that I got shot, but I don't know. It was an important time, and also, Frankie doesn't, even though Frankie wrote the script, he spoke to Mimi, my sister, your daughter, he spoke to David and me to find out our points of view on the movie, and he got a lot of it through me too. But he knew you. I mean, Frankie, Frankie, I think, you were there for a couple of his weddings. So, you know Frankie a long time.
Frankie was an unbelievable fellow, and nice. And by luck, why? We were living over here, he was living over there.
Right. We lived in building 25 in Co-op City. He lived in 24, I think, right next door, the other tower building. And I just remember, I was walking on they had like the greenway, the walkway. And I just met Frankie, and I was 16 years old, and we've been friends ever since. So it's like 45 years now that we've been friends.
And every now and then you correspond.
Yes, and now with the movie, because he wrote the movie. And the other thing was, I remember when I was a kid, I always talked about how, I had all these big dreams, not about the movies. Actually, the only person who ever told me to go, Frankie wanted me to go to Hollywood when I lived in Co-op City. And I didn't even have any aspirations about that. But I thought I was going to do something in business, and I thought I would be maybe more successful in that area than I am. And I always wanted to help Frankie out. And of course, those are the dreams of a young man. Reality happens, you have a family. And I started, now that I'm doing these films and television and all this stuff, and back, doing other films, I figured why not let Frankie experience this a little bit. So I asked him to write this script.
We practically knew him all our lives.
Yes.
And that is the whole thing. Who else do you know all your life? The family.
Right.
And he was part of it.
And it's interesting because Frankie is a very conservative guy, and we're just the opposite. So, and almost diametrically opposed politically. But there's no one in the world that I like better or love better than Frankie in terms of, I mean, he's like a brother to me. He really was. He was always there.
Yeah.
But it's funny, though. You can be friends with people, and, you know, you can put politics aside. You know, but it is interesting. It is interesting.
So all of a sudden, there was a little interruption in our lives.
Right. It was a big, well, it was big. And I just remember you went to the hospital. You know, these aren't spoilers. This is reality. We talked about this on the show before. But you went to the hospital, and I remember the first time I saw you in the hospital, you grabbed my hand, and the first time I came to the hospital, because I couldn't go the first day because I was only 13 years old when you got shot. It was a month before I was going to turn 14, and I was feeling really guilty. And I come up to you, and you look yellow because, you know, you're getting all jaundiced. There was something, you know, there was some problem you were having. And you grabbed my hand, and it felt like the death grip. You know, I was thinking, he's going to die on me right now. It was very scary.
And now, right now,
Yeah.
I go to something called yoga.
Yeah.
And one of the things they say, show me the claw, and you the claw.
But you really did that. And then, just a lot of things. That was like a turning point. It was a transition time, because before then you worked like a dog, and I think after that you decided that you were going to give up half the business. I mean, you had to.
I had to,
because you physically you had changed physically.
No, but try to remember the actual reason. I'm coming out of a building near 149th Street.
No, 140th Street.
No, that was late, when I'm finished already. I mean,
After your shot?
After I'm coming out of the building, the doorman, and he says, the guy was working for you. It came up a little later. He's going to come out. Nobody's working for me.
So people were trying to take your business already because you got shot. They were already stealing your customers.
After that, I'm on the way to go.
You're on the way to go.
I'm on the way to go.
But also, I mean, after you went through something like that, who would even want to work anymore? You know, I mean, and it's amazing though that you did retire at 62, which was a few years later. You cut your business in half, but you still retired at 62. And I'm going to be 61 on my next birthday. I can't see myself retiring at 62. How did you even have how'd you have the guts to retire at 62?
I didn't. That type of reasoning, I never thought about, and it shows you that even I'm a big deal, Max. There are certain things so important, and I bypassed them.
Right.
And what should I work or shouldn't I go to work? Right. Do something else. But
you did become comfortable in your retirement. I mean, you enjoyed your retirement.
Oh.
Right?
My retirement, and I never thought of it as a retirement. All right, why? I found something to take the senior center.
Right.
Alan, what's it? And wait, how did I ever heard of it before? Here, many times I would take my route. I'd go home, and my parents, Aaron, my brother Aaron,
right.
put them in Concourse Village.
Right.
There's a beautiful, and they were living in Concourse Village. And on the way home, I would stop in Concourse Village, speak to my parents, and most of the time my mother. And what was my father doing? Nothing. He would go with a box and a board. He loved to play chess.
Right.
And he would go down. I said,
remember that for Sunday, because you're going to be playing your father. So
no, but Alan, Ray, what's all this? I'm going down to the center. What do you mean you're going?
Right.
What's a center? And he explained it to me, and he brought down, and he would sit down, play chess, whatever the people are, and after that, eventually, when we moved, wherever we were before, and I found a center, Alan,
right.
and we were there almost all the time in my spare time, right. And I think whatever it is, should we have done, it worked.
Well, I'll tell you who the actors are. I want to talk about the Laundryman, because this is what we're talking about anyway.
Yes.
You're going to be playing Louis Bendich.
Yes.
Noah's playing Aaron Bendich, Noah Forrest. I'm playing Max Bendich. A woman by the name of Lucy Lopez is playing Dorothy Bendich. We have Jim Fuller is going to be playing my psychiatrist, because I'm going to be talking. Basically, one of the things we're doing is he's going to be. I'm going to be going to him because I'm dealing with issues, and that's how we're going to bring the story of Max Bendich out. And I'm not sure what Matt is playing, but Matt Bilzak is going to be in the movie as well. He can't be one of the guys who shot you because he doesn't fit the demographic, but we'll figure out something for him to do. We'll figure it out. And then there's a couple of other people that are going to be playing people. There's a guy playing Joe, but he's not locked in yet. And there's this beautiful woman. I think her first name is Desi, but I don't know what her last name is. I can't think of it. She's playing Mimi. And I think Ryan Shemin, I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided yet, but I think he might be playing David. And Ryan is a guy who, he kind of looks like David a little bit. So we'll see. And watch, if I don't, now that I mentioned him and he doesn't play the part, he's going to get all upset. But right now, that's how it's looking. So we actually have people. We have it on IMDb already, and you have a nice IMDb page, by the way. You have so many episodes of The Way to Go and Scriptless. That's interesting.
It's interesting because it happened,
right?
And it happened in such a way that it was to show people what could happen, how it could happen,
right?
And how lucky we were that by luck I'm sitting this way instead of. So when the bullet came here and they came out here, because if I was sitting this way, finished.
You would have been dead. The other thing, there's one other person playing. You're playing my grandmother Ellen, who's playing Lewis, who you're playing, his wife, and her name is Virginia. Virginia. I don't know what her last name is.
I don't know what.
But she's a doctor. She's a PhD, and she'll be playing my paternal grandmother.
Alan, I never knew it really. I'm with her.
Yeah.
We never talked about the doctor. Yeah. All of a sudden, I look on
her door, and it says Dr. Virginia. Right.
And
so that's
and
it.
I even kidded around recently, but she didn't say it, and I didn't. It's all right.
Life is good. But I feel pretty good. We're almost finished with the audit, our annual audit at work, so that's something that's good. And I had to turn down a movie that I was offered because it's during work, and I hate turning down movies. But that's the way it is, It's sad. But I make my own now, so what difference does it make?
And as of this moment,
yes,
we're coming. What should help out you and all of us? The weather is getting better.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. I cannot wait to film on the terrace, and I'm going to do that Sunday. It's going to be a conversation with, and basically, I might steal some information that even though it happened later in life, because I remember your brother called up once, and I overheard the conversation you had with your brother, because he was going through, he was trying to figure out why he was the one that became this great doctor, and why you didn't go to college, and just different people's perspectives. And he talked about Stevie a little bit because, maybe at the time he was getting some help, some psychological help, and he was trying to find out. I think he was going through something at that point, and he called you up, and you were like, you didn't understand what he was talking about because he was talking about all these psychological issues that you don't have, that he had, and he was feeling guilty, I think. But
one of the guilty things he had, and I'm sorry I even talked to him about it. The biggest doctor in the world,
right?
He smoked.
Well, that's not what he was guilty about. What he was guilty about was there's other issues which I don't want to get into it, but he did smoke, and that's what killed him. But
and that's what, if it means his words, I eat my heart away. Mac, if it means 5 years, more or less, so what? It's nothing.
Yeah, but he died at 62.
I know it. In other words, it was something.
You're 101.
Remember, and I still say that. Right. The world lost. Well,
again, one of the things I was talking to someone about, I was actually talking to Noah Forrest, because I showed him the obituary that talks about how he was one of the founding members of the Sloan Kettering, one of the founding 28 members of the Sloan Kettering Institute. You know, everything, all his research. But that was made prior to his last. Well, no, actually, it was one of the last things he found out was something about how if you take sperm cells and put them into regular somatic cells, which are your body cells, in a petri dish or in vitro, I guess. What happens is that the sperm cell actually will go into a regular cell and create something that looks like a cancerous growth. And that was actually in Time magazine and a whole bunch of journals. And this guy Gallo, who is this famous AIDS researcher, used that sperm as an injectable, that's what it was called, as the way that Kaposi sarcoma, which is a very bad disease that AIDS patients used to get, that's how it's transmitted. So they used Aaron's research, 10 years after he was dead, to talk about, how how Kaposi sarcoma was transmitted, and it was cited. So it was interesting. Your brother.
So, but life goes on.
Yes.
And
his grandchildren now are all like PhDs, and Nathan is at Columbia, and he and I are Facebook friends. So Nathan is his grandson. No, Nathan is his great grandson. He's Arnie's grandson.
That's what we got. Every now and then, and then my grandson. No, wait a minute, not my grandson. My great.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, it's amazing how time goes, And soon it's Passover. We're going to see the family. It's nice.
But Passover.
Yes.
I remember a little girl, and I would holler out, "Ma!" And this little girl became a beautiful little, wonderful, your daughter,
Kara, yes.
Ma nishtanu alalu azah.
I remember when she started reading, when she was like 4 or 5 years old, and she loved books, and that's it. I mean, and she loved reading because the way we do Passover is that everyone does a paragraph of the Haggadah, and it goes around in circles until we finish the entire Haggadah, or most of it. And we tell the story every year. And as kids get older, they get a shot at reading one of the paragraphs. And I remember when Kara, now it's the great-grandchildren that are reading. But
and how did they try to manipulate it?
Yes.
There's a paragraph about 3 inches long, and there's a paragraph an inch. Everybody was trying to find.
Except for Kara liked the 3-inch one. She liked to read.
I know.
And that's the difference, is that Kara liked to read. The rest of us were always trying to get the 1/4 inch.
The 1/4 inch.
Right.
You know what? Look, yet everything fell into place.
Right.
Really.
So how do you like the idea? I mean, you're going to be playing your father, right? The other person who I forgot to mention in the movie is Josh Pickle. That's his name. Josh, I'm trying to think of what his Josh Elliott Pickle. And he's been in a lot of movies, and he's playing Alan Bendich. So you're going to be seeing a guy that's playing Alan Bendich in this. I forgot to mention his name. He's one, and he agreed to do the film. I've worked with him on a couple of Joe Simonera projects. And I'm excited about that. So you're going to be playing checkers with Josh as if you're Lewis and Josh is Alan. I'm going to be dropping you off like you used to drop me off when you were delivering laundry. Because you used to deliver laundry near where your father and mother lived. So that's one of the scenes we're shooting on Sunday. Should be fun. The kid kind of looks like me. He's a handsome kid.
And there are other ways besides that. After that, remember, we were living in Co-op City.
Right.
And the idea was, even though when I came out of the Army, we don't talk about that too much.
Right.
But Alan, again, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Why do I say that again? In the Army, Alan, I was supposed to be killed.
Right.
We were.
I know.
I mean, look how the Battle of the Bulge.
Right.
The Battle of the Bulge.
I know.
And this General Davis fighting Eisenhower.
Right.
Eisenhower wasn't president. He was the
general.
leader
Right.
of the forces.
Right.
And they came to that river, and we were supposed to go in and fight the Germans.
Right.
And who are we, Alan? One time, we were looking on the computer, and what did I see? And you see a couple of young guys. One of them was carrying a tuba on one hand, Alan, no kidding, and the other one was carrying, on the other hand, a machine gun and he's talking to the people. What do they want from us, Alan? They give me a gun, they give me some bullets, fight the Germans.
Right.
And those were the guys, according to a big author, what an author, he talked about, it was his father he was talking about, but he also talked about the Battle of the Bulge.
Right. And you've talked about it many times on the show.
I know, and Alan, that's why I am here.
Right.
I mean, why? Again, he hated it for one reason.
Who hated it?
The writer, when he saw what was happening, and
Right.
he wrote about it.
Right.
Almost every one of those type from the cities, and I was going to be I'm from the city. I was in Paris. Was killed.
Right. No, I know. There, a lot of Germans, a lot of Americans, almost all of them died. Everybody died.
No, but I mean, they were like the fodder.
Right.
Yeah, and we realized it later. Here we were kidding. We're going into Germany, and nothing. And then, by luck, we heard that we were going to be the occupying force. I was in the 2nd Armored Division.
I know.
And I met a lady, Alan, where I am now in Cathay House.
Yes.
Oh, she says, you were in the 2nd Army? So was my husband. Right. And later on, she was showing me different things. Right. And who she was, I'm sorry I didn't get more. Couldn't find her anymore. Right. And for all I know, I could be passing her. Right. But Alan, the idea that we...
the idea that you were lucky, and that's what it comes down to. It's sort of like, luck has been something that you've dealt with. I mean, you were lucky that you didn't go into the Battle of the Bulge. You were lucky that you didn't get killed when you got shot.
Right.
You were lucky you met my mother. You were lucky about a lot of different things.
And another lucky thing. We come home, and Mom and my Dorothy and my folks rent a small boat. Right. And they're sailing right with us. And we're hearing, Alan, we looked outside, at the boat was, we're in New York. Right. And there they were, waving, and again, luck. We were, why do I say luck? Right. As we came into, I don't know where it was, in New York, we came off the boat. Some of them kept on going. They were going to Japan. From that boat, some of us, I had the points, Alan. Right. I worked 5 years. Right. But those that didn't have the points, they went.
Pop, I know, I could tell you one point right now, and it's a very important point. Just one point, okay? It's that time, okay? You know what time it is, right?
I know what time it is.
That's a wrap. Good night, folks.